The difficulties raised by the manner in which a hard problem of consciousness is posed are severe. It seems that we don't have science that can address a question when the object of study is, in principle, not observable. The very nature, the character of experience, this qualia or feel that the notion of phenomenal consciousness tries to get back to, is a slippery beast indeed. And as we try to develop language to talk about this, we are very close to some much more familiar psychological concepts which, whatever about their scientific basis, are just part and parcel of how we talk about ourselves and our ongoing being in the world. I'm referring to the notions of attention and awareness, both of which bear a strange relationship to this notion of phenomenal consciousness. They're not the same thing, but they overlap in some respects. And I say the manner in which the hard problem is posed leaves us with a very, very difficult problem. And one could ask, is that because of the way the question was asked? Questions around consciousness have this peculiar nature that they seem to bring language difficulties with them. So we always speak of consciousness of something, just as we speak of awareness of something or paying attention to something. There's always a second term there. These consciousness, awareness, or attention don't seem to be able to stand on their own. So when we turn them into nouns, as if awareness, attention, or consciousness was a thing in itself, we run into a great deal of trouble. So let's turn our attention, first of all, to attention. And let's drop in briefly on a bizarre syndrome that sometimes arises after damage to one side of the brain, as happens, for example, in a stroke. It's not infrequent that patients who've had a stroke on one side display what's called unilateral neglect. Which means that although we can demonstrate that they can see the entire visual field, they seem to be only able to pay attention or to be conscious of one half of the field. You can get a sense for this here by looking at the drawings on the slide, in which you can see the copy of the drawing, in each case done by a patient with unilateral neglect. And you can see that the drawings are, first of all, odd. We're dealing with people who are post-stroke, a lot of pathology. That's not surprising. But what is notable is that the left half seems to be ignored. Not completely ignored, but largely ignored. This manifests itself in other ways. The drawings there are just a hint of what's going on. So you may find a patient with unilateral neglect will put on, a female patient will put on makeup and only put on makeup on one side of the face. Or if you're caring for someone like this, you may put down their dinner in front of them, come back and find only half the plate eaten. And you say, were you full? And they'll say, no, I didn't get enough. And you just rotate the plate and they carry on eating. Very, very strange unilateral neglect, in that nonetheless, you can demonstrate that they're not blind on that side, because they can be surprised by visual stimuli on that side. And even though they may profess to know nothing of what's going on one side, you can ask them questions like how many fingers, and they're going to get them right. So this is borderline between consciousness and attention. Now, another thing that we are conscious of, so when we speak of consciousness of, is that which we are trying to do. You may, for example, let's suppose you're learning the piano and there's a difficult passage that you want to learn. As you're learning it, you're paying a great deal of attention to this passage. You are trying very hard and you are trying to get your damn fingers to do the right thing in order to play this phrase. As you get better and better at the phrase, you try less. There's less going on. You're less aware of the phrase. You may not even be aware of the components of the phrase. The hand sort of plays the phrase. What was conscious and slow and error prone has become automatic and fast and switched to something we might say a body memory. So we can distinguish between controlled processes, which is more like the beginning of that process, where you have to try very hard. There's a lot of intentional effort. You're very aware of what you're doing. You are paying attention. You are not doing anything else. Your attention is fully focused on the hand, and you're playing one note after another. Each note is a challenge, and it's slow. When you get fluid at this, though, it becomes automatic in that there is little or no intention needed. You simply call up the phrase. You may be able to modulate the speed of the phrase, but the notes all take care of themselves. You no longer are conscious of what you're doing, and the playing of the phrase is not at the forefront of your mind, to put it rather loosely. It doesn't demand a lot of attention, and you could probably play the phrase and talk on the phone at the same time. Whereas a controlled process looks more like a bottleneck. Don't distract me, I'm doing something. Once things are automatic, they sort of happen in parallel. We can illustrate the distinction between controlled and automatic processes by taking advantage of something you are very, very skilled in. You are skilled in reading, so much so that it's become an automatic process. And if a word is given to you, you can't not read it. You can't withhold that reading. So to illustrate this, we're just going to do an exercise. We normally do this in class. We can't. So I'm just going to ask you to read aloud. Sorry, we'll go back there. We're going to look at the nature of an automatic process and contrast it with a controlled process. And we can then discuss the manner in which something switches from being conscious and controlled to being smooth and automatic. So I'm going to ask you to read through this list of color names as quickly as possible, going from right to left, not your usual way of reading, going from right to left. Read the words. Right? Yeah, green, blue, red, blue. Blue, red, green. Yeah, that's not a difficult task. And you can do it very fluidly, quickly. It's not difficult. Now I want you going to do the same thing, but I want you to name the color of the ink and don't read the word. So I'll do the first one and then you try the next one. Green, yellow, red, blue. Try it yourself. Notice how much more difficult that is. Reading is at this stage such an automatic process that you can no longer inhibit it. You are not only not conscious of reading, you can't stop yourself reading. The intervention of a new task here, attending to the colored ink, is something you're not very used to doing. So you're trying consciously to do that, and you're being subverted by the meaning of the word. This is a well-known effect known in psychology as the Stroop effect, and it demonstrates well this collision between consciously controlled things, which are relatively few of the things we do are consciously controlled in this manner. Because it's clunky, you can only do a little bit at a time, it's error prone, whereas automatic processes facilitate your being in the world. So we said consciousness was not going to be an easy word to discuss, and we looked at different manners in which this word is used. I hope that you are now in a position to make at least the following distinctions. The notion of access consciousness was discussed and shown how it could be approached scientifically. Phenomenal consciousness, or the what it feels like, has been elaborated under the name the hard question of consciousness. We have a relatively useful and everyday down-to-earth use when we speak of states of consciousness. We've looked at the idea of neural correlates of consciousness, where what you tell me what you're aware of, what you're perceiving, seeing, hearing, and I I look at what goes on in your brain at the same time. That doesn't unravel the mystery, but it's the kind of thing one can do. The hard question of consciousness is listed twice on this slide. It's more or less the same thing as phenomenal consciousness. And we've looked at the complicated relationships between consciousness and attention and awareness. We didn't cover all the possible senses. We've left out one very important sense of consciousness, which had something to do with being self-aware. That is, an awareness of yourself as a distinguished entity in the world. But that's quite mysterious. It's not clear who or what is being aware of what or who. But it is an important sort of goal that has led many thinkers, philosophical thinkers, even religious thinkers over the years. And thinking about consciousness is not a dead end by any means. Although the questions are hard, as you explore these issues in detail, you find relatively new ways of understanding your own mental processes, perhaps, your own being in the world. I recommend never stopping thinking about this. Others have found this very enriching. And thinking about consciousness is not necessarily always best done in a scientific idiom. There's a little bit of maths, perhaps, that's relevant, a little bit of science that's relevant, but there's also music and poetry and lots more stuff like that. So it's been a very, very rich topic. We only have one video left to go.